order them in print, in book. We bought a book this year.
It was totally worth the purchase. I mean, after we talked about it last year, we came back. I'm glad they were there. It was totally worth spending the money on. So, yeah.
I didn't even know they were there. They came and found us and were like, guys, we're here again. I'm like, hey, okay.
That's cool.
So, yeah. So, definitely check it out.
But yeah. Now we kind of want to talk a little bit more about the panels. The super cool panels.
Do we have to?
We have to.
We have to.
Because Chris moderated. Did you go to any, Bill?
I did. I went to Wetta's.
Yeah, so we had Bill that went to him. I went to two. Chris moderated some. Janet went to some. So
I did not actually.
I
She didn't go to any panels.
No,
panels?
The one I wanted to go to was at the time of the photography.
There was. I'm sorry. If you looked at Sunday's schedule, there
It was
weren't
really slim pickings.
there weren't a lot left. The big thing on Sunday was Edward James Olmos.
Yeah.
And I'm
cool,
sorry, as
but-
much as I love Stand and Deliver,
Yeah.
you know.
They had a lot of
wasn't he
walking-
also the captain on Sequest?
he was Admiral Adama on Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, not Sequest.
Wow. Did we
Who was the
just...
captain on Sequest?
Who the fuck cares?
I liked Sequest at the time.
You would.
At
It's
the
Star
time.
Trek underwater.
Yeah, right?
So,
that sounds awesome.
No,
Sunday
they had a
was
couple
neat.
Kinda
Walking
does.
Dead panels, but not with any of the actors.
no, Michael Rooker had a second panel
Did
on
he?
Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah,
And then there was a Bruce Campbell meets Bruce Campbell, but Bruce Campbell wasn't a part of it.
yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It was Bruce Campbell versus Bruce Campbell, but Bruce Campbell was not there.
So,
Go
wait, was
figure.
it supposed to be Bruce Campbell against someone imitating him?
No, it was like about his career and stuff, I think, if I remember correctly.
So was it like
from
a
the description.
fan-made panel, or...
Sure.
It was a fan of...
But the
Why
very
not?
first sentence in the description says,
Say it was
Bruce
a
Campbell
flannel?
will not be present at this. Bruce
Did you
Campbell.
say it was a flannel? Did
Yeah,
you really?
I said
Okay.
panel, not flannel.
Okay.
Like a fanny panel, kind of, but not really. Whatsoever.
Sorry, I have to stretch my knee. It's falling asleep.
It's all right. I don't blame you.
I will tell you this, looking at Stephen Mell's Facebook, he said, had a great time with Katie at Denver Comic Con. Everybody was so nice and will definitely come back.
Yeah, with Kate. He didn't say anything about Chris. Yeah, all right. Whatever. So, I will give you a little bit of my experience. I went to one panel, hosted two, and hosted something else. So, first off, let's start with opening ceremonies. I will keep my grievances to myself. It was fun. A lot of people came up and said I did a great job and they had a good time. Thank you for making me feel better.
Yeah, one of the local radio stations grabbed him out of the crowd to point out to Chris that they really appreciated the panel that he did and how
They only said opening ceremonies. They said, hey, you did opening ceremonies? Yeah, you did a great job. Thank you. I think it was KBPT. Sure.
something.
The Chris and Jamie show.
Pretty much. First thing Saturday morning, I moderated Jason David Frank. That was awesome. I got to stand in the crowd, talk to you guys, hear you say. I vetted your questions, made sure the questions you asked were appropriate. Jason David Frank seemed to have a great time. That was an awesome panel. 2 hours after that, I did Arrow. Stephen Amell, Katie Lotz, I was the moderator. I actually got to stand up on stage for that one.
And I was hanging out in the crowd, which was really cool. They both seemed like very chill people. And can I say, I'm sure other people have realized this, but Stephen Amell with his beard reminds me, for some reason, of Chris O'Donnell.
A little bit, yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really funny. I was texting one of my friends earlier, and I was like, it's weird. Stephen Amell reminds me of Chris O'Donnell. She's like, I don't know who that is, but he really reminds me of Robin from Batman and Robin.
Oh, God.
That was Caitlin.
True. So, I mean, overall, I had a great time meeting the celebrities. I already talked about a little bit about how management kind of pissed me off a little bit. Do you want to talk to any panels before Bo and I go on a Star Trek rant?
Star Trek rant? I want to hear that.
No, you first. We'll agree.
If you want to talk about Weta or any panel you went on, do it now, because this is going to be about an hour of Star Trek.
It better not be.
Wow. You've already got a clear answer that it better not be that
Yeah.
long.
So you better hurry up.
All right. So I went to the Weta panel. They were having their master swordsmith talk about all of his weapons.
Nice.
So this is the guy who does all the sword work for the whole show?
For like
The whole show, you mean all the movies?
All the movies.
The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings.
The Weta show.
Okay, I find that interesting because I watch a YouTube channel called Man at Arms, And he said he's done some of the swordsmithing for that show.
He probably worked with Weta.
Yeah, Weta is a huge company. They've got multiple departments. They don't. They're one of the few companies in the world who actually have departments for arms making like that.
Okay.
They've got teams of designers, teams of their swordsmith. That's all he does is swords. They've got a completely different department that builds their staves and other shit. He got into a little bit of maces and stuff, and he went through some pictures and was talking about that for a while. Overall, it sounded really cool, and he was giving out some good advice to anybody who actually aspired to do any kind of blacksmithing.
To the one or two people out there who are contemplating being a blacksmith, one, build a time travel machine.
No.
Two,
if I had the money, I would blacksmith. I guarantee you I would. It is so cool to take something that is a hunk of crappy-looking earth and turn it into a magnificent piece of art.
So you guys heard it here. We're going to do a Kickstarter. If we raise about $15,000, Bo will start blacksmithing.
I will make a fucking sword.
Should we get Hannah's opinion on this?
I've told her that if I have the money, I'm doing it.
We just need enough money to build a forge and buy some metal. So let's get it started.
I can
Kickstarter
do that. I can put a forge right there. I can do it in your backyard.
No.
Yeah. All the neighbors will love the sound of my ping.
No.
Ping!
No.
They will call me ping pong.
Oh, Bo's out there again.
So here we go. Let's go ahead and get right into the meat of things. If you guys were one of the people, I'm not going to say fortunate or
people.
Unfortunate, to have spent money to go to Star Trek The Next Generation, you're about to hear what you will probably think is the dumbest opinion of somebody who didn't pay any money to be there.
That's crap.
Star Trek The Next Generation half-cast reunion.
Now, it was really cool that those people were there.
Yes.
I completely appreciated that we had Jonathan Frakes.
Who's Jonathan Frakes?
I don't know.
Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes was there.
Wow.
Marina
I just heard
Sirtis.
the entire Star Trek community cry out loud.
It's okay.
Why?
Let them go masturbate with their tears and leave me alone.
Gates McFadden, Marina Sirtis, Michael Dorn, LeVar Burton, Denise Crosby, Jonathan Frakes, all hosted by William Shatner.
Which is weird.
Yeah, that threw me off.
He was in Star Trek Generations.
Yeah, he's been in a movie with them.
I know they
Yeah.
were together, but it still seems weird to me. It was like...
He was the Patrick Stewart substitute because they didn't have a captain because he wasn't there.
Yeah,
Hey, there's a 300-year difference in that whole timeline.
Exactly.
There.
But
they
he,
still overmingled in the movie.
but he was the
And then he died. He was barely there.
he was the master of ceremonies. He was technically the moderator.
Yeah, they were
Technically.
still asking him questions, though.
So William Shatner, they asked one question, and it should have been a.
When are they going to start asking you questions, Chris?
I don't know.
All right, then.
But William Shatner was kind of a dick to a kid with a terminal illness.
Not Billy Boy.
So who?
William, Bill.
Yeah, he was
Billy.
a dick to a kid with a terminal illness. Not even kidding.
Yeah.
Marina Sirtis ripped the con team a new one because for some reason they came up with a great idea of let's have a microphone and travel it around the entire con, like the entire meeting room, rather than have people line up. I shit you not, I'm going to do my best impersonation that I can. She said, why don't we fucking have people line up to two different microphones? We just did the Gargoyles panel. Do it the same way instead of having this person hop all over the floor, handing people microphones. Just have them line up. This isn't our first fucking rodeo. Just do it that way. That way we can answer questions and get out of here.
Is she still hot because she's hot, or is she just hot because she's Marina Sirtis?
She's hot because she's hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
But-
I was thinking of that. I wasn't sure. I was
Props to her for trying to smack the con people around a little bit. Like, stop being dumb.
Yeah,
I
don't
would
be-
have given my left nut to hear her say that, because that would have that's just...
No, what you would have done is given her your left nut to watch her get off the stage, walk down through the crowd,
And slap somebody.
and I don't know if she slapped him, but still, she was chewing this kid out because he came up and he asked some weird random question.
He asked the ladies how old they were.
No. Originally, he asked some weird question, and then on stage they said, "Why don't you come up with something original? Ask us something that no one's asked before."
Oh, yeah,
And-
he asked some dumb question, and then William Shatner said, this is the only time these people are going to be together. Why don't you ask them a question that's never been asked?
And then he said, how old are you guys? And Marina Sirtis got off the stage, walked to him. I think she held the mic away from her because I saw her hand back behind her, and she was chewing him out.
And he said, "Okay." And he said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot my manners. How young are you all?"
It was pretty. That was hilarious.
So here is my problems with the Star Trek panel. Now this was the coup de grace. This was the big event. The thing that you had to pay extra money to get into.
And you could barely hear it.
There was a plane flying over while I exclaim how big this was.
Sound effects.
The microphones. Half the cast was wearing like little boom mics. The other half had handhelds. They didn't have the sound level right. Denise Crosby was chewing gum the entire time. I heard every crack, smackle, and pop. Smackle? Every smack, crackle, and pop.
Smackle.
That sounds delicious.
It was this the entire time.
Well, don't forget about the heavy breathing.
Yeah, that too. Because they couldn't get the microphone levels right. Then, at some point in time, Marina Sirtis is trying to regale us all with a tale, and so then we hear...
Yeah,
It made everybody
fell out of her chair.
Yeah, everybody jumped out of the chairs. Awful. Also, I guess at some point in time, there was a mix-up. It was originally supposed to start at 6. They moved it to 6:30, so it's supposed to go 6:30 to 8. This was a problem because William Shatner had a plane to catch at 8, so he had to leave by like 7:15. So halfway through the panel, William Shatner's gone.
They must have had to fly him by helicopter to get to DIA in that amount of time.
Within 45 minutes, exactly.
It's William Shatner.
And I guess at some point, no one told, just like with the photo thing, no one told them that it got bumped back. And so they're like, well, we're here at 6, so let's do this. And they're like, well, there's no one in the room. Bruce Campbell's still on stage, sorry. So this all got screwed up, and I could tell that there was a little, looking back at it now, like when they were introducing everybody, like someone came up saying, the intros are going to be just as long as the panel. Mm-hmm. I didn't, yeah, true. So I feel bad for the people that spent $150 because if you break it down by minute, let me get my handy dandy calculator out here.
Handy dandy.
I.e. smartphone.
So, whoop, that was wrong.
Wait, are you saying it wasn't one bajillion minutes or whatever that came up with?
So they spent $1.66 a minute is what they were supposed to have spent. So if it was an hour and a half long panel, it was an hour and 5 minutes. So
it's like the same amount of cost as like a cup of coffee at Starbucks and ordering.
So instead of $1.66 a minute, they spent $2.30 a minute. So I can imagine the people that paid money weren't very happy that they missed out on 20 minutes of Star Trek reunion.
Yeah, I agree. And it was later in the evening, so I don't understand what they were waiting for. Because, the only thing that happened after that, I think, was Judge Dredd that night or the night before? No, that was Cosplay After Dark.
Cosplay Shindig.
And the Shindig.
No, Cosplay After Dark
separate.
Is the rival thingy, yeah. So that was a little disappointing that an hour and a half long... when you take a panel... If it's scheduled for an hour and a half, you can normally guess it's going to be an hour 35, hour 40, because it might go over a little bit. So an hour and a half panel turned into an hour panel with a little overlap. So for what should have been an hour and a half, they pretty much got an hour. So that sucks for the people that spent $150 on this ticket.
Props for you guys.
On top of their Comic-Con pass.
Yeah.
Props to you guys for really wanting to interact with those people and ask your questions, which they didn't get to ask, not everyone. There were a lot of moans and alls.
And why did you ask stupid questions?
I really was. If anyone's seen Family Guy, the same situation occurred. It was a panel at Comic-Con. They were talking to the Next Generation people, and someone stood up in the crowd and they're like, my scalp gets really dry when I shower. Is there any way to fix that? And I think Patrick Stewart said something like, showering hot water makes your skin dry out. But it was the same kind of goofy crap.
So, this is a Star Trek The Next Generation panel. It is promoted as Star Trek The Next Generation. Ask them anything about Star Trek The Next Generation. Someone comes up. What would you say to people who are being bullied? And what would you say to the bullies? That's an excellent question. If you are a news reporter doing an interview. This is a Star Trek The Next Generation reunion.
Not a beauty pageant.
Jeez. Anyway, Bo's playing music. That was one of them. The other one. And don't get me wrong, I love Michael Dorn and I love Deep Space Nine. But this question's for Mr. Dorn. Mr. Dorn,